and welcome to the snack bar where you get your weekly bites of everything movies. My name is Geraldine, and with me I have.
There is no Jedd, only Zoo! Wait, Jedd's back. Hi, I'm Jedd.
Oh, hey man.
Apologies about the
Were
demon
you
that
supposed
was.
to be sexy Sigourney Weaver?
I'm slightly less
Wow.
sexy than she is.
Okay, so we usually review movies that come out this week, but since Alice was the only one that came out and I refused to pay money to see that movie, we are gonna skip that.
Alright.
But the ex co-host Sarah, she actually came back and she
cool.
recommended this Singaporean film called Apprentice, which talks about executioners in Singapore. It's in very limited release, and I doubt I have a chance to check it out, but do that if you do have time, because I heard like it got a lot of rave reviews, and it's good to support Singaporean films if you can.
Yeah, my colleague gave it a 4.5 out of 5, and it screened at the Cannes Film Festival. It's the second film by Bu Jun Feng, and his first film, Sandcastles, also went to Cannes.
Nice. I've never seen that. This is the first time I heard that film. I need to like pay attention to more Singapore filmmakers, but I feel like a lot of them don't have enough exposure the way Jack Neo does.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing because you're either art house or you're really commercial and heartlandy, and I feel that there should be more of an in between, and I guess we're opening up more. So
Yep.
there's still a lot of room to grow. I am also
Hopefully.
guilty. Yeah, I'm also guilty of perhaps not paying as much attention to the Singaporean film scene as I should, and it doesn't really grab my interest the way the big blockbusters do, and I know that makes me part of the problem, I suppose, but it's all a matter of personal tastes, and
Yeah.
if different films of different genres can be made in different places, I hope we see that one day too.
Yep. Go Singaporean films.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's hopefully good. Okay, so enough of this. I mean, we just watch it if you can. It's called Apprentice.
Apprentice, yeah, by Bu Jun Feng.
So enough of that, Jedd. What films have you watched this week that you think is worth talking about?
I watched this really excellent movie called Sing Street.
Okay, never heard of it.
I loved it, and so many people have been raving about it. I think it's like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and after watching it, I could totally see why. It's a coming-of-age musical comedy drama directed by John Carney. So this is the guy who is most famous for doing Once, and then he did Begin Again a couple of years ago with Keira Knightley and Mark Ruffalo.
Mm-hmm.
So after going to Hollywood for Begin Again, he goes back to his native Ireland. And this is a coming-of-age film. It's about a young teenager. He's played by a first-time actor, I think. And it's a really good performance. And his family has some financial difficulties, so he's relocated from a private school to a school that's run by the Christian Brothers. So you have a really nasty, really mean principal who's a stickler for the rules. And then one day, an aspiring model catches the eye of this kid. So in like a blind moment of desperation, he says, "Oh, I've got a band to try and impress her." So he scrambles and gets a band together, and it ends up that they start filming music videos. This is in the 80s. So it's at the really beginning of music videos, so they make their own amateur music videos, and they get the girl whom he has a crush on to star in them as their ingenue, as their muse, and she helps them do their makeup. And it's really, really sweet, actually. It reminded me a lot of, funnily enough, Super 8. But instead of monster movies and zombie movies, it's music videos.
Mm-hmm. This sounds very interesting. I love musicals and I love comedy. So this sounds like it's in my wheelhouse.
It's also got a really great central relationship between two brothers. So this kid's older brother...
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think you'd love it. Yeah, this kid's older brother is played by Jack Rayner, he was one of the names up for young Han Solo. And after this movie, I could kind of see it. I really didn't like him in Transformers Age of Extinction, but now I think that's very much Michael Bay's fault because he's awesome in this movie. He's really good. He plays like the ne'er-do-well slacker type, but he secretly really loves his younger brother. He just doesn't want to show that he's soft or doesn't want to show weakness. And he's given up on his dreams long ago, but he doesn't want his younger brother to go down the same path that he has. It's honestly quite heartbreaking, but a lot of this movie is really funny. Because it comes from a very earnest place, it feels like a lot of the experiences riff on stuff that the writer-director has gone through himself in his own youth. And the school that it's set in, Sing Street, is the school that he went to. So it's a little bit maybe autobiographical in that way. It's really good.
Okay, awesome. You've convinced me to watch it. It's coming out on 28th July, so that's the same time as Jason Bourne.
Right, yeah.
Oh man, now I have to choose because I don't have time to watch 2 movies now. I wanted to ask you, do you think Sing Street, is it alright to watch it on the small screen, or do you think it's more of a big screen experience?
I don't really think you have to watch it on the big screen.
Alright. Then I have to put this on under my list of things to watch.
I hope you get to it soon though, because it's one of those movies where I have heard people go, you must watch this, you must watch this. People from other countries where it's out, like on message boards and forums, and I'm like, it can't be that great. And then I watch it and I'm like, yeah, it is that great.
Yeah, and I really want to see like a small indie film in the middle of all these blockbuster films.
Yeah, this is just the right palate cleanser in that way. The director is also, he's a little bit infamous. Sorry, he's a little bit infamous now because he made these comments about Keira Knightley. And he said, I don't want to ever work with a supermodel again. Like, he was very dismissive of her. So that got him in a bit of trouble and he had to apologize.
Yeah, okay. I didn't hear that.
So
I know once it's super heartbreaking, that movie.
Yeah.
I was kind of sad that they didn't get together. Spoiler alert.
So the handling of the romance in this film, I thought it was beautiful. Like, some people might find it a little bit cheesy, but I think it comes from a really earnest place. And I love the actress who plays the main female lead.
You're convincing me to watch this over Jason Bourne.
I want to watch Jason Bourne though. I'm being selfish because I've already seen this. Well, you make up your mind when you come to it. Don't worry about it alone. If you pick Sing Street over Jason Bourne, I have no issue with that at all, because for all I know, Sing Street is probably much better than Jason Bourne.
Yeah, but Jason Bourne is like that. I think Jason Bourne is probably going to be a good action film to watch on the big screen. But oh man, the thing is, I think I'll forget about Sing Street once it goes out of the theaters, because I highly doubt they'll actually show up. I'll see it, on the bestseller list. I'm like, oh yeah, that film. Unless, it comes out, it gets nominated for the Oscars for their songs or something. Then I'll be like, oh yeah, this movie. Then I'll go check it out.
If you're more likely to watch Jason Bourne after it leaves theaters than you are to watch Sing Street, then I'd say go for Sing Street, honestly.
Yeah.
We'll see. Okay. Yeah.
We'll see. I have 2 weeks to make my choice. So anything else?
I also watched this. Well, it's not really worth talking about, but it's this Korean Hong Kong co-production called Bounty Hunters. It's really not good.
Okay.
It looked like a pretty fun action comedy, and yeah, Lee Min Ho is really good looking. All of them are really good looking, but it was such a letdown because the plot felt very loose, and I felt that the chemistry of the team was a little bit forced, and the two lead guys keep on bickering, and it's supposed to be amusing, but it's not. The action, I don't think there's enough of it, and there's a lot of shaky cam, maybe to hide the fact that the matinee idols need stunt doubles. And I hate the villain because the villain is budget Joker. He's prancing around, he's cackling maniacally. It's really annoying.
He sounds like a Japanese villain.
Yes, he looks like he stepped out of an anime. He's played by this Hong Kong actor called Jeremy Jones-Shi, and he's got like this red hair, and then there's like a preppy school outfit, and it's so annoying. My gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So skip Bounty Hunter, which is coming out this week.
Yeah, skip Bounty Hunters. I walked into it. I thought it would be fun, but it wasn't.
Yeah. There was a Korean film that I watched that a lot of people like. It's sort of like Korean Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I forgot what.
Yes, My Girlfriend is an Agent, which is by the same director, Shin Tara.
I hated that film. It was so unfunny.
It's the same guy, so to avoid Bounty Hunters then. Same director, yeah.
Okay, I see. Alright, so you want to dive into Ghostbusters 1 and 2?
Oh yeah, let's splash into the ectoplasm. Splash.
Yeah. Alright, we're just gonna spoil everything because it's a 20-year-old movie.
Yeah, 30-year-old movie.
30-year-old, alright.
Yeah, 32-year-old movie for the first one at least.
32?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Isn't that bizarre?
I thought like they just celebrated their 30th anniversary last year.
1984 was the first one, and then 1989 was the sequel.
Alright.
Yep.
How about before we start, do you want to say what this franchise means to you? If you have any emotional attachment to it?
Sure. like I mentioned in earlier episodes where we discussed the controversy surrounding the all-female Ghostbusters reboot, I don't really have an emotional attachment to Ghostbusters. So I didn't grow up with it, but I did watch it, and I did watch a lot of the. I did get a lot into the making of the film because the special effects really caught my attention. And when I was younger, in particular, I was really really into old school special effects stuff like model making and miniatures. And there's so much of that going on in Ghostbusters 1 and 2. So I got into that more than I got into the story.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh, okay. For me, I did not watch Ghostbusters as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I knew about it, and I knew about Stay Puft, but I only watched it in my late teens when I discovered that you can watch movies online. Don't do that though. I realized that that's not right. I thought it was alright when I watched it because I think it's because of the hype, and when you finally do watch it, you're like, oh, okay. I guess people like it because it was a revolution at that time. Sort of like how I came into Star Wars when all the hype was there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I expected so much out of it, but in the end, it just became a film that was enjoyable. But I didn't think, it was as classic as everyone says it was. It's not like it's Back to the Future for me, or it's Terminator. I want to say Transformers, Terminator 2.
What a terrible mistake that would be.
Yeah, those two, like I thought it'll be at that kind of level for me, as in terms of action or fun, or how fun it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not like, for a 1980s movie, I still think it holds up well today, and I think the jokes are still pretty funny. It's not haha laugh out loud funny, but I like the type of humor that they went for.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I don't agree that it's a classic to me, but I bet if I watched this as a kid, I would have loved the crap out of it, and it would have been really scary for me, especially the second Ghostbusters. I recently watched it, like, just yesterday.
Yes.
And
on,
there was
on
some
my
scenes,
recommendation.
yeah, and there were some scenes that would have horrified me as a kid. But anyway, let's just go back to Ghostbusters 1 first. Is there anything that you want to say about the film that always stood out to you?
Well, to go back to what you said about approaching it sort of fresh without the baggage, I guess, that comes with someone growing up with a movie, I kind of agree, and I feel pretty much the same way about this film. I felt very much the same way about Blade Runner, actually. Like, when I watched Blade Runner, I was like, oh gosh, this is really overhyped. And I know classic cinema connoisseurs are going to crucify me for saying that, but with Blade Runner, I guess it kind of depends on which version you're watching, because there's so many versions of it. And it's influenced sci-fi so much that when you go back and you see where it came from, there was a little bit of, oh, is that it for me? And I know that sounds terrible, but when you mentioned Back to the Future and Terminator 2, those are exactly the two 80s movies that I would put on that list, besides, of course, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Definitely Indiana Jones is also up there.
Mm-hmm.
Jurassic Park 2.
Jurassic Park is 90s.
Sorry, what?
Jurassic Park is 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
as old as the first Jurassic Park.
I think me too.
65 million years old. 1993 was the first Jurassic Park movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm 2 years younger.
Now everyone can stalk us. Woohoo! Anyway, yeah, so with Ghostbusters, do you want to go into the plot?
Yeah, sure. Anything.
So Ghostbusters revolves around these three scientists who were booted out of a university, and they start out on their own, and they decide to create a business hunting paranormal activity and catching specters and ghouls. So the three scientists are Ray Stantz, Peter Venkman, and Egan Spengler. So they set up a company that is a little bit like an exterminator business, and then they take on a fourth guy named Winston Zedmore, who is played by Ernie Hudson. The main case that they are working on revolves around this woman named Dana Barrett, played by Sigourney Weaver, and her fridge is a portal to an otherworldly realm ruled by Zool. And above Zool, there's a Gozer the Gozerian. So there's a whole ancient Sumerian cult that is involved, and Dana herself eventually becomes possessed. So they have to battle Zool. They have to get Gozer under control, And the climax of the film, the very famous King Kong or Godzilla-like moment, is when evil takes the form of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, who is a food
Amazing.
item mascot and was the most harmless thing Ray could think of for evil to be personified as.
I love him. Stay Puft.
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is an excellent idea. That is such an iconic movie monster because of how unlikely it is and the effects used to pull him off. It is a guy in a suit and it is amazing.
Yeah. I love that, he looks so cute and adorable, but he's so destructive because he's huge.
Yeah.
I think the contrast between the design and what he's actually doing just makes it stand out so much more. Plus the comedic effect to it, and that even though I knew about Stay Puft before I watched this film, when that part happened, I was like, "Oh my god, that's so cool!" All right, I would have probably cut this part out, but Jedd just killed a baby cockroach.
Wait, this is going in? No,
yes. I mean, I'm probably gonna cut that part where you were killing the cockroach out, but not this part. Okay, so yeah, Stay Puft. Awesome review. I love the reason why he's there. It's a great moment. Very classic.
Yeah, it perfectly embodies the style of humor in this film. And I might as well do it now because we will eventually be comparing this to what we've seen of the new Ghostbusters film, which we haven't seen at this point. But from the trailers and from everything else, it really feels like a completely different style of humor.
It feels like bad humor, but okay, we'll discuss about that later on. But I think it'll be a very in the end it'll be a very Paul Feig humor where it's just a lot of talking.
Yes, because it is co-written by Paul Feig and Katie Dippold, who wrote Bridesmaids.
Yeah. And one thing that's making me really scared of the reboot is that I've seen the new Stay Puft and I don't think they understand why Stay Puft was so iconic. But that's just me.
You know what? That's a really interesting thing that you've raised because I don't think that is the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I think that is supposed to be the no-go symbol personified.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that is actually Rowan. That is the final form of the film's main villain who can possess human beings or who can also control other ghosts. So the character that you're referring to, who kind of looks like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, I think is actually supposed to be the embodiment of the famous no ghost symbol with the red circle and the cross through it. I was really confused at first as well.
Oh, alright. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. I rather have that than Stay Puft.
Yeah, the toys, I thought it was Stay Puft as well, but the toys mark him as Rowan, so he is the film's main villain, I guess. And that's like his final form.
Alright, so sorry, Jedd, what are you about to say?
This film is written by Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, I think. So it's sort of like it's material for them, and they understand their own comedic timing and the comedic timing of their friends, and they've written it for them.
Yeah,
like a really big...
I really like the humor in this film.
There's so many really quotable lines, not only from this but from the second, and the delivery of a lot of these. It's wonderful because these characters are really distinct. No one would ever mix up Ray with Peter, with Egan, or with Winston because they're just different, but they go together really well. And it's lightning in a bottle. When they announced that they were making a third movie, even before they said that it was going to be an all-female reboot, when they said it's going to be a reboot to begin with, I was like, I mean, the main reason it worked was these guys, and I'm not saying that nobody else could ever do as good or better a job, but there's really a lightning in a bottle feeling to this team up.
Yeah, but I feel like only 3 of them worked well together. They didn't give Winston a lot to do because everyone knows that Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in it, but he backed out in the end.
Yeah.
So I thought the 3 guys were great, and Winston, he never really made an impact on me. He was just a token black guy at the time. I'm sorry if it sounds terrible, but that really was what he was.
That's completely true, honestly. It's one of those wonderful what-if scenarios, Eddie Murphy in there, because Eddie Murphy is a Saturday Night Live veteran, just like Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray were. So I feel that he would have fit in better, but as it stands, I don't mind the idea of Winston as the straight man, of he's sort of off to the side and he's remarking about everything weird is going on around him, and he still has that everyman quality to him because he's not an egghead, he's not a complete geek like the rest of them are. He's a
But
average
I
dude.
feel like I feel like Peter is more of the straight man, and Winston is the guy who's just tagging along the adventure because he has nothing better to do, and he doesn't want to go back to parties or something like that. I forgot what his previous job was.
Yeah, me too. It's that whole thing where everyone was like, "Oh, Leslie Jones is playing the token black character," and then but what about Ernie Hudson in the old movies? The thing is
Yeah.
that they don't play up the stereotype of like a jive talking black man that you would kind of expect from an 80s or 70s comedy. It's not racist like at all, and the Leslie Jones character feels a lot more racist than the Ernie Hudson one did.
But I feel like it's because it's a badly cut thriller. I don't think a character will be like that throughout because that doesn't feel like a very Paul. Is his name Feig or Feig?
I honestly think it's Feig. I can't say that I've heard him say it, but I think it's Paul Feig.
Okay, so I it just doesn't seem like a very Paul Feig humor to have a black character talk a stereotypical black way. And I have a feeling they're only doing that in the trailers because the trailers are terrible.
I have seen 20 minutes of the film and cannot talk about it.
Oh, okay. Wait, how can you not talk about it?
I'm not allowed to.
Oh, okay.
Because we're not supposed to use that footage for review purposes. We are only supposed to use it to inform the interviews that we do with the cast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So I can talk about it after I've seen.
Is the interview up yet?
I think the issue's actually out today. So our new shameless plug time, the new issue of F Magazine, which I think would actually be marked August, even though it's a July issue. It has Star Trek Beyond on the cover, and somewhere in there is my interview with Paul Feig and Melissa McCarthy. So please buy it and feed me. Thank you.
Okay. Well, actually, there is an online version, right? What's it called? Ebook, e-magazine.
Yeah, you can download it from Maxter, so you can do that too. But please don't pirate it. Please pay for it. Please. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good quality. I bought the F magazines before.
Yay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's really good. It's like high quality stuff. Plus, I also got it because there were a lot of good posters inside, and I loved it.
Yay.
Oh, and this was before I met Jedd, so like I'm not saying this to suck up to him here. Like I do genuinely like that magazine.
Oh shucks, thanks, Gerry.
But yeah. So speaking of the forecast, there's also another character that I want to talk about, which is Sigourney Weaver's character. I always felt like she was too good for this film because before this I watched Alien, I watched Aliens, I watched Alien 3.
Alien Cube.
Yeah. And she just felt like such a badass, but in this film she just sort of plays the damsel in distress most of the time, or someone who always gets the bad luck, And I don't know, like I don't like that they used her. I mean, as a character I guess she's okay, but I wish they chose someone less of a feminist icon,
I totally see where you're coming from, and I do get that as well. I feel like of the whole cast, Sigourney Weaver would have kicked the most ass. But at the same time, it's fun to see her in different modes. I think she's an extremely versatile performer. I also think Sigourney Weaver is supremely funny. And if you have not seen Galaxy Quest, she is awesome in Galaxy Quest. I was laughing my head off every time she was on screen because she really understood the nature of the role, and it was completely different from Alien and Aliens. And like, I think when they were casting the movie, Sigourney Weaver wasn't on the list because the whole idea with Galaxy Quest, which is a Star Trek spoof, is we don't want anyone who is associated with sci-fi. But Sigourney Weaver wanted to be in the film. She said if anybody is qualified to make fun of sci-fi or to poke fun at the genre, it would be somebody like me who's been in a bunch of sci-fi films. And she ends up so good in Galaxy Quest.
And she did the same for Paul too, as in the one with
with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
Yeah.
She has, like, I guess we can spoil it. That's the cameo, and she also does pretty much the same role as she does in Paul in Cabin in the Woods.
I haven't seen that yet. Oh man, I want to
Oops.
see Cabin in the Woods so
I
bad.
spot
I
Cabin
haven't
in the
gotten
Woods for
around to
you.
it.
No,
No,
but
it's
like,
alright. I still don't know like half of what the movie is about.
okay, you like I kind of feel like you have to watch that because before I watched that movie, I was very hesitant because I'm not a big horror guy, but I love that movie so much. I really got into
Yeah,
it.
I know. Like I've heard so many good things about the film, but I keep the things I've started the film about 3 times, but I've never finished it because I didn't have time
Oh
to.
yeah, I have movies that have been like that too, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. Yeah, so
Yeah. So
Sigourney Weaver.
sorry
Sorry,
to get back on track.
I feel like yeah, I cannot disagree with your point, especially that she is a feminist icon playing a bit of a damsel in distress. But I really liked how they brought her back in the second film and how they brought her back with the kid and that whole the whole thing of putting the kid in danger is a bit cliche. But Ghostbusters 2, she is one of the linchpins of the plot because her boss is the secondary villain, and without her, they wouldn't have been able to understand more about Vigo and so on. So she was pretty important in the second one, even though in the first one she served mainly to get possessed.
By the way, did you like that Peter was sort of a creep? And maybe I interpreted this wrongly, but did he have sex with her while she was being possessed?
I think it's a high possibility. Here's the thing about
Which
Bill
is kind of
Murray.
gross.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And like the whole thing of it's more of a guideline than a rule. Bill Murray, like a lot of the
I mean, it's a good line. It's a
it's a
good line. Don't
funny,
get me
funny
wrong,
line, yeah.
but it's still gross.
It is gross. The thing about Bill Murray is that he's really good at playing kind of a slime ball, but yet you can't help but like him. And a lot of his best characters have been like that. I guess Groundhog Day, Scrooge, all of those classics, even in Stripes, I suppose. And his establishing character moment is when he's torturing that poor guy doing the test with the psychic, like the ESP thing, and with the
Mhm.
whole cards, and he's just torturing this guy because he wants to get with the pretty blonde girl who is taking the test with the nerd, and he's just bullying him, and like when you do that as an establishing character moment, you know what they're aiming for. You know that this guy's gonna be a bit of a creep, I guess.
Yeah,
It was a really funny
it's a great,
opening
it's a great
scene.
moment though.
I felt so bad for the nerdy guy because it happened so. I think they had it for just long enough. The gag like went on just long enough that you felt his
Yeah.
pain.
So speaking of nerd, like who do you think is the bigger nerd, Ray or Egon? Right, that's how you pronounce his name.
I feel like Egon is. That's a good question because I think Ray is more passionate, but Egon is more technical.
Yeah, and honestly, I do like Ray more because he feels less of a caricature, and plus, Egon kind of reminds me of the guy from Big Bang Theory that I don't like.
Johnny Galecki's character?
No, the one that keeps winning all the awards.
Oh, Jim Parsons? You mean
Yeah,
the main guy?
kind of reminds me of that. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't really get that, honestly. I felt like, because Egon is played by Harold Ramis, who co-wrote the film, I felt like he reserved a lot of really good lines for himself, especially in the second one. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's not really that stereotypical of a mad scientist caricature. He is nerdy and he has that look, but I didn't feel like he was being hyper or manic or doing that really annoying techno babble thing where you're running around in a flurry and then someone looks at you and says English please. And I
Yeah.
feel like there's not a lot of that in Ghostbusters. There's a bit of that. There's not a
Yeah.
lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I do like Ray more, but Egon's cool.
I
R.I.P.
what
Sorry.
do you Harold Ramis, what a loss, man. What did you think of the Louis Tully character?
Who's that? Oh,
Rick
you mean
Moranis, yeah.
the neighbor
The
guy?
neighbor, yeah.
I thought he was okay. I liked him a lot more in the second Ghostbusters, though. Even though I'm pretty sure a lot of people, he got on a lot of people's nerves by the second one. But I thought he had a lot of great moments in the second film, more so than he did in the first one. Because in the first one, he felt more of a creep. And in the second one, he sort of had something more to do besides getting possessed.
Yeah, and they called him back to help. I felt that he was a little bit too much of a caricature, and I know that's what they were going for, and I know Rick Moranis has sort of built his career doing roles of that type. But I would have felt more sympathy for the character, or more pity for the character if he had that crush on Dana, but he wasn't as stalkerish as he ends up being in the final. In the movie itself.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, but I feel like Rick Moranis could have actually played a really, really good Dr. Bruce Banner back in the day if they let him, if he did it a bit more serious, because he has a bit of a Bill Bixby thing to him.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun? Rick Moranis is the Hulk.
I wouldn't see him as the Hulk, but I could see him as Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner, yeah. And he's of course very
Yeah.
famous for playing Lord Dark Helmet in Spaceballs.
Yeah.
He's the Darth Vader spoof. He wears the huge helmet and he's got the little glasses and he's playing with the action figures, and that's a funny role.
Yeah, it's great.
Have you watched Spaceballs?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, cool.
I mean, it's alright because I don't like Star Wars that much, but
Yeah.
I thought it was a fun film.
It is,
like,
yeah.
I could understand references.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was before I even watched Star Wars.
Oh,
Star Wars
okay.
was such a big deal
I see.
that
Yeah.
I could get references easily.
Yeah.
Like, that's how big Star Wars is.
I feel like that's
It's
a little bit
ridiculous.
like with me and Game of Thrones. I have not seen a single episode of Game of Thrones beginning to end, but I kind of get a little bit of it because of all the osmosis.
Okay, so what's your favorite quote from this film? Do you have one?
Yeah, it has to be it has to be dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
And, yeah, my favorite quote is from the same scene, which is, "Yes, it's true, this man has no dick."
Yeah, everyone loves that too. William Atherton, by the way, is great playing like the very uptight inspector. I like
Mhm.
that character.
Yeah, I love him too. He's great.
This man has
He's
no
like
dick.
he's like the asshole that you love to hate, you know.
Yeah, he totally understood what they were going for. At the same time, his concerns are very valid. There's been a few arguments in the vein of the villain of the movie actually had a point that, look, this guy had a point. The Ghostbusters really could have overloaded the grid and not known what to do.
They were just trying to save the world, man.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay, so do you think the effects still hold up? I say yes, except for Slimer. I think the rest, they still... I mean, the werewolf things, they look kind of goofy. I think they're werewolves, right? I don't know.
The Zool dogs,
But-
yeah.
Yeah, the zoo dogs. Zoo dogs.
Zool.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Zoo, as in
Zoo.
ZOO. Yeah, they look weird, but it's 80 CG, so you kind of forgive it for that.
Like-
But I think the physical effects are so damn cool.
There's no CG in this film. It's all optical printing.
Oh, okay. I know Slimer was sort of I know he was practical effect, and then they had I don't know how they did it, but they just filmed him and then somehow made him the way he was in the film.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact term for the process is, but all of this stuff, it's the old days of compositing where you cut things out and then you pasted it onto the negative and then you printed it into the optical printer. And the
Yeah.
matte painting of that huge building that Dana lives in, that's a wonderful matte painting. The thing is that I love it when you see the Zool dogs in camera and when you see them as the puppets, but when they move, they're goofy, because when they move, they are stop motion and then optical printed into the thing, and the whole effect of the photon streams is a little bit dated, but there's so much charm to it. I really love how
Yeah,
that
yeah.
looks.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think the photon stuff it's so 80s that it has this weird, like, you don't mind it because there's some sort of, what do you say? It's like a design thing. It's more of an art direction than they were just trying to be realistic.
Definitely, yeah. And there's a really interesting featurette on the DVD where they interviewed the special effects crew, and they were saying they treated it like they were working on 2001: A Space Odyssey. They didn't treat it like they were working on a comedy. They took the work really seriously, and I think that benefits this so much because people are generally wary of comedies with a high budget. There is that graph where it's kind of like the higher the budget of the comedy is, the less funny it'll be because you've got to hit more of the blockbuster notes, and then the director or the writer's style will be tamped down. But I think Ghostbusters is the best example of a big budget comedy where the effects really serve it.
Yeah. It's warranted, basically.
And it's such iconic imagery, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and them fighting Slimer in the ballroom. These are classic things that you would have seen even if you've not watched the movie beginning to end.
I still don't get the hype for Slimer, but yeah, I guess he's iconic. I mean, he's like I think the librarian ghost is way better than Slimer is.
The library ghost is awesome.
But that's just me.
Yeah, the library ghost that's a great choice for the first thing that you see. And even though it's a terrible scene that shouldn't really be in there, the blowjob ghost is a good effect as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where she gives...
Yeah, I have no idea what that was.
Apparently, okay, so let me jump in with this. Apparently that is in the middle of a dream sequence, and then they decided to cut it for time and just put it in a montage. It's very good. It should not be in there, honestly. It shouldn't be in this movie.
Yeah, it's a very low common...
Yeah,
okay,
lowest common denominator kind of humor. And then you see him cross his eyes, and it's... But the thing of, like, the belt coming undone by itself is a fun effect.
Mm-hmm.
The belt being unbuckled and flying off. Yeah, me too.
How did they do that?
I think it's stop motion, and inside the belt there's a rigid like wire, so they can pose the belt.
That is so cool. Okay.
I think that's how I would have done it, but it's probably something smarter. Yeah, the ghosts kind of reminded me of how they did the specters and the ghouls coming out of the Ark of the Covenant and the End of Raiders.
Yeah.
And that stuff is wonderful. Like they had
I
this
love that.
Yeah, it's so awesome. They had the model floating around in water, and then they filmed her, and then they processed the shot onto it. It's fun, and the thing is that from the trailers, it looks like the new Ghostbusters has a standard giant CGI battle in New York City, and I was really disappointed. I hate to be that guy who keeps on going on and on about how special effects used to be better in the old days, because that's not true as a blanket statement. And I've seen a movie where these effects guys, they were really pissed off at being replaced by CGI, so they went and made their own movie that was all practical effects, and it was not a good movie because they weren't focusing on the story.
Well, I will defend the new Ghostbusters. Okay, I don't want a giant CGI battle too, but that's what it's probably gonna be.
It's what it looks like, yeah.
But I love the ghost designs because they remind me of Haunted Mansion. I've said this so many times before, but I just love the design of those ghosts. People hate it, but I think the blue stuff around them is so damn cool. And that's because I'm a huge fan of the Haunted Mansion ride. And I'm going to Japan this year.
Cool.
And I was so excited to go to the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I found out that they're going to replace it with Nightmare Before Christmas, so I'm really sad about that. And I love the movie, but it's not Haunted Mansion.
That's true. Haunted Mansion is one of those classics. I guess it's a little bit like in Universal when they replaced Back to the Future with Simpsons. And then more recently, this is even sadder, they replaced Terminator 2 3D Battle Across Time with a Minions thing.
Okay, I did not know that.
That broke my heart.
The Back to the Future one, I went to the Japan one.
Osaka.
And it was so damn fun, but
classic.
I didn't understand what was going on.
Yes, because it's all in Japanese. Well, to sidetrack a little bit, if you're in Japan, I highly recommend Tokyo Disney Sea. It's not as popular as Disneyland, but it's really unique. And when I went to Japan several years back, I did not go to Disneyland. I just went to Disney Sea. And I enjoyed it. It's got a wonderful Indiana Jones ride in there, and it's very surreal seeing an animatronic Harrison Ford yell at you in Japanese.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to Disneyland for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
1 day will be dedicated to Disneyland, and 2 days will be dedicated to Disney Sea.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, enjoy yourself, man. Yeah, Disney Sea is amazing. It's a great concept.
Yeah, I know. That's why I want to spend 2 days there. Like 1 day is to rush to ride all the rides, and the second day is just to enjoy.
Yeah.
The environment.
Because the design, especially the Jules Verne land, which is a hollowed out volcano with the Nautilus in the artificial lake, it is amazing. And they've also got, I think, the coolest looking Tower of Terror.
Yes, it's not called the Tower of Terror. It's like Hotel California or something like that.
Something, yeah.
No, wait, that's a song.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of song, do you think that the Ghostbusters song is good? Do you think it's a little bit too dated?
I think it's 100% a ripoff of Huey Lewis and the News I Want a New Drug. Like,
Yep, I've heard that too.
there's no way it's a coincidence. It's so disappointing because
He got sued too, right?
I think he did, and I don't know what the result of that was. It probably was settled out of court, but yeah, it's a shame because Huey Lewis and the News are very, very influential in the 80s, and of course, they contributed to the soundtrack of Back to the Future. So, like, The Power of Love is them, and Back in Time is them as well, and I think Huey Lewis had a cameo in Back to the Future. He was the too damn loud guy, if I'm not wrong. At the talent show in the beginning of Back to the Future, the one who tells Marty that he's too damn loud, that's the lead singer of Huey Lewis in the News. And when I found out that I Want a New Drug was apparently the basis for Ghostbusters, I was a little bit disappointed because Ghostbusters is one of those songs that you hear everywhere that's really iconic. It is, like, I don't know, it's one of those things, right? Have you ever had that feeling where you find out something is plagiarized and then you reevaluate your life?
Yep.
Yeah, I have that with Andrew Lloyd Webber a lot. And I had that a few times with John Williams. Like, I was really disappointed when I found out the bit of Luke and Leia that I really liked was apparently taken from something else. And anyway, the bit of the Ghostbusters theme that I like the most is not actually the chorus, it's
Yes,
definitely. That
and then
rocks,
the part where it goes
right?
like really high.
Yeah, that is awesome. You just can't
that's
help
my
but
favorite
groove
part
to
too.
that, yeah. And
oh yeah, I love that part. That's my favorite part. Like, I will always just repeat that part. Like, it's so off. I'm so sorry.
I think
it's really damn cool.
As a song, it does fit the vibe that they're going for. It fits the style of comedy they're going for, and it's so interesting how specific. Well, the lyrics to that theme song from the second one, the Bobby Brown song, are like, it's definitely a very pale
comparison.
Yeah, it pales in comparison to the Ray Parker Jr. song, but the theme song in the second one has a lot of the plot of Ghostbusters 2 in it. And I kind of miss the days when you could have a rap or have a song that tells the story of the movie.
I miss that too.
Yeah.
Like, I heard like someone joking about Jared Leto, like he's singing for Suicide Squad, and then you bring in like Will Smith rapping during the bridge, and then he's talking about things that's happening inside the movie. Oh man, that would be so great.
Yeah, like I think he has probably laid his rap career to rest, but that would be really funny. He did the Man in Black theme, and then he did Wild Wild West, but yeah, to come to think of it, it is so bizarre that Prince did songs for the 1989 Batman movie. When my friend, he told me it's kind of like, imagine if Bruno Mars did songs for Batman v Superman.
I like Bruno Mars, so
yeah,
I wouldn't mind that. You know what? He was in the new. He sang a song for Twilight, and that song is super good. And I hate that Twilight has so many good music. I love 1,000 Years too, and the Paramore song.
A Thousand Years. There's the cover of it that I really like by John Barrowman, and it's really sweet.
Yeah.
There's also like subtextual stuff about Captain Jack Harkness's kind of immortal character that he plays on Doctor Who and Torchwood. Oh, there's so many digressions this episode. I'm so sorry.
You know, it's alright. You know what? That song reminds me of. I don't want to talk about it. It's my ship, guys. I ship it so hard, and it reminds me of that ship. That's why I love the song so much.
You can't tell us that and not tell us what the ship is. Come on, Gerry.
It's alright. It's fine. Okay, so let's talk about
Tell me when we're off the
air,
alright?
It won't be a surprise. It's super boring, the answer. But yeah. So Ghostbusters, I think it's still a very good film now, but I don't think it's as. If you're not, you better watch it as a kid, because the hype is gonna kill it for you, because it's not as good as the hype says it is.
Yeah, I agree with that. And there's another thing about this film which I think they are perhaps rectifying in the reboot. Structurally, it's a bit weird because as an origin story, we don't really get a lot of origins. They are almost immediately fully formed.
Which I like, actually.
I guess there is an element to that where you jump straight into the action and you don't have to spoon feed everything to the audience, which works. But I would like to have seen them figure out the photon stream or figure out the ghost trap and stuff like that. And they are doing that in the new one, where their original versions of the photon gun don't work, and the backpack is huge, and you have to wheel it in on wheels, and they eventually refine the technology. I kind of like that. Like, they do mess up a bit, but there isn't enough trial and error in the original Ghostbusters for me to believe that they have trouble getting to where they are.
Yeah, it's sort of like the How to Train Your Dragon montage.
Exactly.
Where Hiccup was trying out everything.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry, I just watched it on Wednesday.
The first
the
one?
second movie.
The second
No,
movie.
the second one. I love it. I'm sorry. I know it had problems, but I really liked it.
I like it too. Yeah, and it's a standard like superhero movie montage. I think the best example is "Go Web Go," "Fly Web,"
Yeah.
Up and away Web.
Shazam!
Yeah, Shazam. that is amazing. That's really really funny. And but I do like that these guys, they are underdogs. They move into that really rickety firehouse, and they don't have enough money. And I think like the city of New York has threatened to pull down the firehouse in real life a few times, but the fans have always stepped in to save it. So it's still there in Tribeca, and I hope it'll be there forever, because gosh, that is an iconic
honestly,
location.
why don't they just make money off of it? Like, hey, this is like where the Ghostbusters was filmed. It's like, oh, okay, charge you money.
Yeah, I don't know whether it is ticketed, but it might be. Like when I stopped by, it was after it had closed, but I stood in front of it and got a photo, so I'm really happy about that. I think the taxi driver was a little confused. He when I said I need to stop in front of this building.
Oh, you mean just for a while, just to have a picture?
Just to get a picture with and to take a photo of the symbol on the floor, and that was fun.
Okay, that's cool.
In the new movie,
I've never been to New York before.
There's so many iconic locations in New York, and Central Park is like the most filmed, I think, out exterior location in history. I am curious to see how they use New York in this reboot, and their base of operations looks like it's an abandoned Chinese restaurant. Somehow that doesn't really have the same zing as an old firehouse, but and anyway, like I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm trying to make everything lean negatively towards the Ghostbusters reboot, because that's not my intention.
It really doesn't come off as negativity.
Thank you.
It's more of a comparison than a negativity thing.
Yeah, and well, I like eventually when we get to either in this episode or the next episode, the whole discussion about all the fan backlash and all the response, like I have a bunch of things to say about that.
Okay.
Yeah. What is it with the firehouse? Oh, the scene where he slides down the fire pole and he's so happy, and Ray is so happy. There's a pole, and then he jumps down the pole. I love moments like that. Yeah. And
yeah. Sorry, go on.
Their TV commercial, that is classic.
Yep.
If
I love it. I actually had it in my point. Like, the TV commercial is amazing, and I actually prefer the second one too. The second Ghostbusters one with the receptionist and that nerdy the neighbor. I forgot his name again.
Louis Tully, Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
And someone pointed this out. I didn't notice it myself, but in the "We're Ready to Believe You" ad in the first one, you can see Egan looking down at his mark. Like, he doesn't know where to stand. And that is such a cute detail. He's looking at the floor, looking for where's the mark he needs to hit.
Yeah, I love their TV commercials. If I wish the marketing team for the new Ghostbusters was smart by releasing these type of fake advertisements.
That is a wonderful idea. Yeah, just like the Jubilee Xavier School ad that they did for for Apocalypse.
I mean, it didn't work because the movie hardly made money, but that's because the movie was not well received by fans or by critics.
X-Men Apocalypse didn't make money?
It made considerably less than the previous two films,
yeah.
I think. But don't worry, they had Deadpool, so they're still swimming in cash.
That's right. Yeah, Fox is so relieved that they had Deadpool after Fantastic.
I'm surprised that the new Ghostbusters isn't the next Fantastic, because it's getting decent reviews. But anyway, before that, let's just quickly go over Ghostbusters 2 because we don't have a lot of time.
Sure, yeah. Ghostbusters 2.
Um,
Are you glad you saw it?
um, it was really unnecessary
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah.
Although there was one detail that I did like from the film was how everyone just became. They had to stop being Ghostbusters because they had, all the everyone was just suing them for the damage that they had done. And I thought that was really sad because that would have happened in real life too. And I guess when we watched the original film, we never thought like, who's going to pay for all that damage?
Yeah.
And then in this, it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of sad.
It's like their version of the Sokovia Accords.
So what did you think of it?
Ghostbusters 2, if you look into the story behind it, there was a whole regime change at Paramount at the time. And I think the producer who used to run Paramount had a very bad working relationship with Bill Murray. And Bill Murray was the guy who kept on delaying it. It came out 5 years after the first Ghostbusters, and I think they didn't really want to do it apart from Dan Aykroyd. And if you look at the stuff leading up to the Ghostbusters reboot, Dan Aykroyd is always the guy saying, I want to do Ghostbusters 3, I want to do Ghostbusters 3. Because compared to Bill Murray, he's not as successful, and Bill Murray has always been really reluctant to do it. So there is a bit of a feel of, we have no choice, we've got to do this because the studio wants it, hanging around Ghostbusters 2. At the same time, I feel like I didn't really want it to end at one movie. I think there's a lot of potential in the premise. And I mean, the reason why they've made at least 2 animated shows from this is because every week is a new ghost and that sort of thing. And I felt like the third one really should have been at least 1 or 2 of them training a new generation. It didn't need to be. It could have been Jurassic World, and I think people would have been a lot less annoyed if it were Jurassic World Ghostbusters.
I feel like the passing on the torch thing only happened in the 21st century and not when Ghostbusters, was out. So I don't think the third movie would have been passing on the torch.
No,
it's just been them doing the same thing again.
I think the third movie should have been now, 2016, but passing the torch.
Yeah. That I agree with you.
Yeah. And there's apparently like a really good video game, and the villain of the video game is the architect of Dana's building that they talk about.
Actually, I'm reading the comic book now, the 2011 one, and it's alright.
Is it IDW?
Yeah, it's IDW.
Cool. Yeah, I don't
because I was just really curious, and it was on sale, and I only had the first volume, and it's alright. I don't know, because I heard a lot of good things, and maybe it's because I love these characters, but I don't love them like, let's say, the TMNT.
Right, yeah. So you're less forgiving of.
Yeah, so it's not that I'm less forgiving. It's not a bad volume. It's just I read it and it's just okay, and I don't feel like reading it anymore.
Yeah, it didn't do anything in particular for you. That's understandable. Yeah.
Because I understand that, okay, there's some franchise potential in this, but to me the first film was good enough, and I've never seen the animated series, so I don't know how the formula is like. Yeah, but from the first film, it had a good conclusion, and I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
And you can imagine what happens later on, and you didn't imagine them, getting broke. But I still think that Ghostbusters 2 felt like such an unnecessary sequel, and it just felt like, oh, they're reassembling the team again, just like the first film. It's kind of, it just feels like before sequels became good. Like, I felt in the 21st century, they sort of broke the sequels are never as good as the originals, because Winter Soldier is so much better than First Avenger.
Fair enough, but
Iron Man 2 still sucks. But
well,
hang on, let me think. I thought like the X-Men First Class was way better than X-Men 3 or something.
Yeah, but
like sequels. Sorry, go on.
The Godfather Part 2 and Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right. Well, I mean, those were exceptions to the rule.
Kinda,
but
yeah.
in the 21st century, you could see more of it.
Yes.
Like Planet of the Apes 2.
Yeah, Dawn versus
the
Rise.
reboot of it. Yeah.
Dawn's slightly better than Rise. Yeah.
So there's a fly on my desk.
That's well, we have trouble with insects on both ends. That's a funny theme. I love the image of the Titanic pulling up at the harbor and all the ghosts
Yes.
walking out of the Titanic
And they're like, well, better late than never.
and all the stuff they did to the Statue of Liberty is funny. Like, it's super corny that it's the power of positivity that is what defeats the bad guy. At the same time, the mythology of Vigo, of Carpathia, and of Janusz, I love it. I think that's a great backstory. That's a fun villain.
Yeah, I love this villain more than the first villain.
Me too, yeah.
As in not counting Stay Puft, because Stay Puft is classic.
Yeah, Gozer. And it's interesting with Gozer, to go back to Ghostbusters 1, we'll jump back to that. Like, they wanted at one point Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, and then when they decided on making Gozer female, they wanted Grace Jones, who is like the singer from the 80s, and she was in A View to a Kill, the James Bond movie. So they actually, in the end, they went with a lesser known model. I actually forgot her name, but the hairstyle that she has is actually the same hairstyle that Grace Jones has, the high top thing.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel like they could have given Gozer more personality in the first one.
Yeah, they could have,
Mhm.
but she was sort of a very last minute villain. I mean, like her appearance was quite last minute.
Yes, she's
so
an 11th
she didn't really
hour.
have that big of an impact.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the creepy painting, that is a great device because
I hate those.
Yeah, it is
just so damn scary.
It's true that like there's the tiny bit of paranoia, no matter how rational a person you are, when you look at a painting like that, you cannot help but feel something's trapped inside. And I think Ghostbusters 2 really tapped into that.
Alright, so one of clearly my favorite scene, I'm not sure that it's yours, but my favorite scene is during the court scene.
Oh, the courtroom.
Where
so good.
they were arrested because they were digging illegally.
The Scolari brothers, I gave them the chair.
that judge is an asshole.
Yeah.
But the Louis Tully, he why did I say his name like that? I love the part where he was like the lawyer for he was helping them. He was the defendant.
Yeah, he was their defense attorney.
Yeah. And he was saying like, I was trapped in the elevator for 2 hours and I had to make the whole time, but I don't blame them because one time I turned into a dog and they helped me. Thank you. I can't believe I've never heard of that before. That was so funny. Like I burst out laughing.
It's funny
at that point. And then Peter just like feeding him the lines.
Yeah, coaching the defense attorney. The line that I think is the funniest is, I had part of a slinky once when I straightened it.
Well, which part is that?
I think Egan says that around the time of the dancing toaster.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is my favorite scene. The dancing toaster is my favorite scene.
Yeah, it's very cute.
Your love lifted me high. There are like little classic moments in Ghostbusters 2, even though it is kind of going through the motions. I don't feel like it's a completely terrible sequel, but it's.
I do like the review of how they ran out of business. Like you see Ray and you see Winston. They are coming out of the van.
Yeah.
And they're going to the party, but you don't know.
So sad, yes.
Yeah, it was so sad.
So sad, yeah. And that sort of funny sad is really, really the pitch of humor which works so well for that world.
Who did they want to come to the party instead of the Ghostbusters?
I don't know. That's weird.
It was really sad when that happened. Like they were trying to dance to the music, and the kid was just not.
I was disappointed that it wasn't who they were. I actually don't remember who that is. Yeah, we'll look that up.
It's really sad. I felt so bad for them.
And
yeah, but Sigourney Weaver still. I wish she didn't take this role because she's so much better than this. Than whatever Dana's supposed to be.
I like the kid, and the funny thing about the kid, like really random trivia, is that the twins who played the baby grew up to become martial arts instructors.
Cool.
So you can randomly go and get kung fu lessons from the twins from Ghostbusters 2.
He'll be like what?
The Deutschendorf twins.
30 now?
30, yeah, probably. Well, if they were like babies in 1989, yeah, about there, yeah. 35.
Too old yet?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. We wouldn't know.
Yeah, this is all before our time, yeah. We will.
Um. Yeah. So I think that's all I really have to say about Ghostbusters. I didn't like the the couple that they introduced, Louis Louis and the
Oh, they paired
receptionist.
Lewis and yeah, that felt a little bit too obvious. It kind of feels like when they
I
pair.
thought the receptionist was with Egon, but I guess that
Yeah, in
didn't
the
work
first
out.
movie they were, and I would have preferred that. But yeah, Annie Potts is great. We got one, and she's really iconic, even though she doesn't have a lot of screen time. And I'm really
Yeah, it's a
upset.
voice.
Yeah, it's that like bored Brooklyn drawl, and I'm pretty upset at what Chris Hemsworth has been forced to do in the sequel, or what he's willingly doing in the sequel, where he's this complete idiot, and it
I I like it. It's cute.
no, it feels like it comes from some angry, bitter place. Like the filmmakers or the
Oh, as
writers,
in like, oh men are stupid.
well, not necessarily all men, but that it's pointed at somebody in particular, or that it comes out of spite instead of affection. Not for all men in general, not for that, but yeah, but it's just odd that why would you do that when the receptionist was not, a blonde bimbo in the original? It's kind of odd that they would choose that to. Yeah, sorry,
I
I'm going down the spiral. Rescue me,
As a
Gerry.
girl, I approve of his adorable. I think he's adorable. Okay,
Yeah.
but that's just me. Um. Okay,
He's
so
yeah. He looks like he's really funny, and I guess Paul Feig has a track record with like hidden comedic depths that he pulled out of Jason Statham. So I
yeah.
think he's
Oh,
doing that
so
with
good.
yeah. Jason was amazing, inspiring. I guess he's doing that with Chris Hemsworth as well.
I love the booby jokes though. The one where
I can make them
he
bigger.
designed a logo and then they're like, look, it will look kind of bad on us. It's like, why? Is it the boobs? I can draw it
I
bigger.
can make them bigger. And I love that they let
Yeah.
him keep the Australian accent, and Paul Feig has admitted that it makes no sense, but it's so much funnier.
Yeah. I love him. Like Chris Hemsworth, I know he's been in a lot of movies that haven't been doing well commercially, but I think he's so great in most of them.
Yeah, and he's like when you put him and Liam Hemsworth together, there's like no contest.
Yeah.
It's like
Although I
yeah,
pity Liam Hemsworth
I
because I think he seems like a good guy, but it's just that he doesn't have the charisma
his
that
brother has yeah.
his brother has. Yeah, but I mean, but if you compare him to Peter, he has all the
We're
charisma in the
going back to
world.
that again, aren't we? Yeah.
I do not like Peter. Why did she end up with him? Okay.
I'm
Um,
I pity Luke Hemsworth the most. There's the third Hemsworth
Hugh
brother,
Hemsworth.
guys.
Oh yeah.
If ever you feel neglected, remember there's the third Hemsworth brother.
All right. So let's go on to movie news.
All right, let's
And
go.
because I'm so sorry, but I was busy yesterday, and yesterday was when we were supposed to record our stuff.
Yep,
So now is Monday, and the Ghostbusters reviews they were lifted.
I
Sorry,
see.
the
The
embargo was
embargo is
lifted. Yeah, and surprisingly, it's getting decent reviews. A lot of people are saying that hang on, what's Leslie
Jones,
what's her
yeah,
name?
Leslie Jones.
No, sorry, not Leslie Jones.
Kate McKinnon.
She's the standout from this film. And so I'm really, really excited because I'm rooting for this film to be good. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll do well commercially, but oh man, I'm just so rooting for Paul Feig or Feig, whatever. I
Yeah,
love his work. He's one of my favorite comedy directors, and the amount of hate that this film gets makes me feel so bad for it because I feel like this film had its heart in the right place. And people who love the original film are being extremely mean to it because, oh, it's a female reboot. And I do have to admit that I don't like that it's an all female cast, but
yeah.
I appreciate what they're trying to do, and they're trying to promote, that females can be funny too and they can hold their own movie. Unfortunately, that doesn't really prove that because they're relying on this franchise. But
Yeah, so
I love I just I love the concept of the Ghostbusters reboot. It's so sad that it had such a terrible trailer. And it also felt like there's a lot of politics behind it on their decision to make an all-female Ghostbusters. And then you also have the only male character or the only prominent male character be this dumb idiot.
yeah.
So it really gets on people's nerves. And I can understand why people hate it. but at the same time, I wish they didn't hate it as much and just ignore it and stop hating on a film that someone and a lot of people worked hard on.
All right, so it's a good thing we have a guy and a girl on the podcast, so we have views on both sides, and I agree with pretty much everything you've said. Here's the thing with the Ghostbusters reboot, the way it's been marketed, and all of the backlash or the hype or the reverse hype, everybody's wrong. I feel like I feel like everybody has at some point been an asshole in the whole lead up to this. Like the fans who are angry at it are being mean, and then Melissa McCarthy and Paul Feig are being mean when they say, "Oh, all of you live in your mother's basement." Judd Apatow, who is a good friend of Paul Feig, is being mean when he says that if you hate this movie, you're a Trump supporter. Everybody's being mean. It's like it's so weird to see how much everyone's rationality has been compromised by this movie, and what a reaction it's drawn, what a raw nerve it struck. And I'm not saying this in a way like, ho, so silly you guys are obsessed with such a silly thing, because of course I'm obsessed with a lot of silly things too. But yeah, I can't help but feel that it was a bad idea to go with the Ghostbusters being all female, because it's couched from a political standpoint from the beginning, and people are less likely to give it a chance. And it's that thing with nostalgia franchises. You need you need not only, I mean, you don't only need the approval of fans of the original, but it helps. And you're alienating them actively, but at the same time, the indication is that you want them to like it too, because Bill Murray has a cameo in it, and Nanny Potts and Sigourney Weaver and Ernie Hudson all pop up in this movie. I think Dan Aykroyd does
And
as well,
I've heard like the irony of this reboot is that it's so geared towards fan service that the people who hated this film aren't even gonna watch it.
Yes.
And it's geared towards them.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I feel that there's a bit of sadness in that, and that maybe it's a bit of a miscalculation on Sony's part. And there's also that whole thing where there's a bit of a conspiracy theory. Apparently, Sony deleted all the positive comments.
Negative.
Yeah. And left the negative ones on to paint everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, like reverse, to paint everybody.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I did not hear that.
Like I don't know how true that is, but I've heard that, and that's what it looks like.
I will summarize like the problem with Ghostbusters with these two things that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So
Let's
the
go.
first camp, someone says, "I love how in a film with 4 female leads, people are saying that Chris Hemsworth is the best thing about it," and she's obviously being sarcastic. And I'm just like, okay, so what's wrong with that? Like, just because he's a male, he can't stand out, No,
I think it's the angle with that is that, this was such a miscalculation. If it had been 5 guys, if it had been 4 guys plus Chris Hemsworth, it would have been so much funnier. I think that's the point that they're trying to make.
No, the point they're trying to make is, as in the person who said that I love that, the four female leads and stuff. What she's trying to say is, oh, you're being sexist because you think that the guys stood out instead of the girls.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, what the hell? It's just someone's opinion. Stop that. And then the other side of the coin is that people are saying, oh, it's a conspiracy. Sony is paying off critics to say that it's good, which is like bullshit. I don't think. I mean, obviously, maybe there are some people who are getting paid to, there's some sort of bribery going on, but I highly doubt all 53 critics on the Rotten Tomato review site, are getting paid by Sony.
As a critic, this thing of paying critics off is ridiculous. But at the same time, I understand.
It happens.
I understand where it comes from.
Not everyone is gonna get paid.
It happens
because they have something called reputation.
It happens with code hounds where they're not really Sean Edwards on Fox TV is the famous one, where you will see his quote, this is the greatest movie ever on every DVD cover, and he doesn't actually write reviews. He just, people like that just show up on TV and say a few phrases about the movie, and because they want their quotes to be used in the posters and the covers, and they don't actually write reviews. So that happens, but paying off critics en masse doesn't happen, because studios have better things to do with their money than that. at the same time, Sony has invented a fictional critic before. They have been,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty funny and pretty sad. So look that one up.
What was his name? I forgot.
I forgot to because it was a super generic name. But they had to like invent a fake critic because one of their movies is doing so badly they had nobody say anything positive about it. I think it was a Guy Ritchie movie with Jason Statham in it, but I could be wrong. So yeah, that was weird. In any case,
like I remember like they had to refund people for that false review.
Right. Yeah, and that was a bit of a scandal, and that I think that was Sony, right? Like,
yeah, that was Sony.
I feel like Sony is associated with a lot of shenanigans, like the whole thing with the leak, and yeah, like either they can't catch a break or yeah, as a studio, you see a lot of animosity pointed at Sony and at Fox, and I don't think there are a lot of people going, "Oh, Universal!"
Or Disney.
Maybe
everyone loves Disney now.
Yeah, and I guess
except people who don't like success.
No, well, the other big thing when people kept on saying, "Oh, you're paying off reviews," that came up with Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War and Batman v Superman, but it's just people being desperate for a reason why critics don't agree with their opinion.
And I really, really don't like it when people go, critics are out of touch, just as a blanket statement. Because whenever someone says that, I'm like, alright, listen, you disagree with the general consensus on this movie, but do you like Raiders of the Lost Ark? Person goes, yes. Do you hate Batman and Robin? Person goes, yes. Guess what? Most of the critics share your opinion. So I don't like this cherry picking. It really annoys me.
Yeah. It annoys me too, and I'm not a critic.
And I think people need to appreciate well, because you're a fan and you enjoy the analysis as well, and that's why you have this podcast. Yeah, you are a reviewer in a sense, even though you're not a critic for a publication. You analyze the movies in a way that I guess the general audience does not, and that's the job of a critic. The job of a critic is to sift through things as a consumer recommendation service based on their experience, based on their training, and based on their exposure, their own study of films. And if you don't like that, that's fine, but you cannot say there's no merit to film criticism. You cannot blanket hate critics. And the worst thing is when you look down comments and people go, Rotten Tomatoes is an idiot, as if it's one person. It's a review aggregation site. Yeah. Gosh. Sorry, I just got that out of the way. Yeah.
Alright.
Exercise.
I feel your pain.
Thanks, Gerry.
Like the thing is, I feel bad for critics also because I follow a lot of them on YouTube, and they always just talk about how people in the comments are saying how they were getting paid off, and it's clear that they love movies and they're so enthusiastic about it. It's something you can't fake.
Yeah.
Like you can tell when someone loves a movie, and you can tell when someone is just pretending to love it for the sake of playing to the crowd.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just sucks that it's just I hate that people still think that critics are snobs and that like you said, like they're out of touch, but it's just no, they're people who watch films for a living, and I think they themselves know how to sieve out a good movie from a bad movie, how to sieve out a popcorn action fun flick from just being a Transformers.
Yeah, and I always tell people that there is such a good thing as a good action movie, and there's such a thing as a bad action movie. And I always hear this false dichotomy when someone defends a bad movie and say, "Oh, it was never meant to win Oscars." Terrible, terrible defense. Like when people keep on using that for Transformers. No, there are different kinds of good and different kinds of bad.
Yeah, and it's like, you can like a bad movie. You just need to acknowledge that it's a terrible film.
Sure, yeah. I have lots of those.
Yeah, they're called guilty pleasures.
The first Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie. I love that movie.
Yeah, I know that's a lot of people's guilty pleasure. Okay, so let's talk about Pixar. So, Finding Dory just came out, major success. I can't believe it.
No, I like it. Yeah.
Oh, do you know that the secret Life of Pets is like $100 million opening day. Sorry, not opening day, opening weekend in the US box office. How the hell does Illumination keep doing
Yeah,
it?
I
Like, I
honestly
think
don't get
all
it.
their
Yeah.
animated films have been a success. So the Lorax, Minions, Despicable Me 2, and Minions. Wait, did I say Minions already?
Yeah, you said Minions.
Alright, sorry.
But it's okay.
The only film that I know didn't do well is Hop, but that's like a live action mix with
Right.
animation.
Yeah, Hop was a
So I don't really
bizarre
count
movie.
that. Yeah, but like, what the hell? How did they get that much money?
Like,
Okay, fine. And it's a Toy Story ripoff. I'm sorry, it really is.
there's that, and there's also, I don't know what the draw is. Is the draw that these are the people who did Despicable Me? Because the voices.
No, the draw is that the draw is people. Okay, like I have pets, right? What do pets do when you're not there? Which is just Toy Story to me, and I'm not gonna get fooled by that. But I will still watch it because the animation looks cute. But it is Pixar. It is a ripoff of Toy Story, and
Yeah,
it's a terrible ripoff too. They don't even bother hiding it.
Because there is a Buzz and there is a Woody, and yeah.
Yeah, it's the same plot. It's like, oh, this
I'm
guy
afraid of
is
being
loved
replaced,
by
yeah.
yeah, and then they get lost and they have to come. They have to find their way home.
Yeah, it is 100% Toy Story, and like maybe it's because I'm dumb, but I have not noticed it until now, and it's just been staring me in the face. So thanks for pointing that out.
I wish you didn't know. It just bothers me. It bothered me so much when I watched the trailer. But anyway, Pixar, they said that they want to make original films from 2019 onwards. So I think their
Yes.
upcoming sequels are Incredibles 2, Cars 4. What else is there?
Why?
Oh, sorry, Cars 3.
Why?
There's no Cars 4
Why
yet.
Cars
There's going to
3?
be one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What else? What other sequels are there gonna be for?
Is there another Monsters thing coming out? I don't know.
No more new Monsters Inc. I like the prequel. It
Monsters
spoke to
University.
my heart.
I actually haven't
Yeah.
seen that.
Oh, I mean, I think it's like way. I don't know if you can relate to it anymore, but
No,
I
yeah.
was during that. It was during that period of time where I was struggling with school,
I see.
and Monsters University really helped me through that.
Oh, that's nice. That's a great story. I like that. It's like when last week you were talking about Shrek and how Shrek touched you.
Yeah, and they both came out the same year, Shrek and Monsters Inc.
Right.
Fun fact.
Yeah. Okay, so
yeah.
Pixar is doing original movies in 2019. What year's Coco coming out?
I don't think they have a date set.
Okay, yeah.
Toy Story 4 is the
Right,
sequel
yes,
that
the
they're
one
doing.
that Rashida Jones is writing.
Oh, okay. 22nd November 2017. That's when Coco is coming out.
So Coco is an original film like before 2019. So they aren't like only doing sequels. I see.
But it's the only film that they're doing that's original.
Right. Yeah, it's with Pixar, I find that their original ideas generally are such high concept gems, and the way they expand it, the process of how Pixar comes up with stories, with a few exceptions on cast, is really fascinating because the development, they create really, really complete stories, and stories that are resonant, that have characters that you connect with, and there's almost some sort of magic formula, and people are saying, what is the Pixar way, what is the Pixar method, and whatever that is, I think they have been pretty consistent with it.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Pixar. Ooh, savage. But I love their concept more than I love their execution of it, to be honest. But
that's fair.
I am
that's
excited for. Yeah, I'm very excited for their new stuff because I don't know how to say it. Cars 2 was terrible.
Yeah.
Toy Story 3 was a huge disappointment.
No, I liked
Monsters
it.
U, Monsters U was a surprise to me because I had no hope for it, and
Okay.
Finding Dory was also another huge disappointment.
No, all right.
Yeah, so I rather be disappointed by an original Pixar film that I feel like it's overrated than I am of a sequel that I feel is also overrated or it's just bad. But
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense. That's fair.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, like last year they had 2 original films and one of them was brilliant.
Yeah, I
So-
love Inside Out so much. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine if you said, "Yeah, I love Good Dinosaur."
Yeah, Good Dinosaur is amazing. The Good Dinosaur really felt like it was made by a B team, like it was the people on the reserve bench. I'm sorry, this is such a
And
mean
the
thing
thing
to
is,
say. That's what it feels
And
like.
the thing is, it's like, wait, Pixar has a B team?
It's like
Because most of their films, no matter how I feel about Pixar, I I will always admire the way they tell stories. And even though I don't find it as entertaining as a lot of people do, I know that there's a good story in there. It just doesn't appeal to me.
Sure,
And I'm
yeah,
fine with that.
that's a
Yeah.
fair statement.
Yeah, and Brave was alright.
Brave was alright. Yeah, honestly, I heard general negativity about Brave, and then when I watched it, I was like, I'm fine with it. This is okay. I know it's very Brother Bear-ish, but I like Emma Thompson and things. And
I can't. I'm sorry, but every time I watch Brave, I can't help but think of How to Train Your Dragon.
yeah, kinda.
It's so similar because I mean, How to Train Your Dragon is a very generic story too. So, and Brave is sort of generic in terms of the whole mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I like the kids though, the brothers.
Yeah, the brothers are cool. Yeah, so I'm excited to see new Pixar films.
So am I. Yeah, I hope it doesn't become a factory mindset where they feel like we have to churn these out. Because I feel like things like Toy Story and Finding Nemo come from this magic place, and I want that magic place to exist. I don't want it to be a factory.
Yeah. Oh, it's alright. I mean, look at Disney; they're doing so great, and it's like the same management, so
Yeah,
I'm sure Pixar will
it's
be
John
fine too.
Lasseter. Yeah, as long as John Lasseter is in charge, things will be on track, I suppose. I
Mhm.
feel like I've jinxed
Okay.
it by saying that.
It's alright. It's okay. So I still can't believe Disney managed to get off that rut though. Like, what the hell happened? John Lasseter happened. That's what happened. Okay, so Sulu came out as gay, as in the new Star Trek film, and George Takei, who played the original Sulu, is not happy
Takei,
because he
yeah.
thinks Takei what
Takei. George Takei.
Takei, sorry. I always said Takai, I'm sorry. He's not happy because he thinks that it messes with the original version of Sulu. To which I say, I think Sulu being gay is fine. Like, there's nothing to be upset about it. I think what they did was a noble cause, and it's not like, how do I say this? They've rebooted it, and it's a new timeline. So I guess in this timeline, Sulu is gay, and that's okay.
I agree 100%. I feel that it's counterproductive to make such a big deal out of it because the whole point of Sulu being gay in this movie is that you just see the scene in passing of him and his husband and their baby daughter, and that's it. It doesn't matter because it's not supposed to matter in the 23rd century when Star Trek takes place. It's a regular thing, and it doesn't mean that one of George Takei's arguments was that, oh, Sulu has been in the closet the whole time, but it doesn't have to mean that because it's just never come up. It's never come up. So I'm generally on the side of Simon Pegg and the people.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel that I understand where George Takei is coming from, and this is going to sound offensive, or this is going to sound like an insult, but hear me out. I feel that George Takei is being protective of the idea of Sulu being straight because he is a gay man and he wants to be seen as having range as an actor. He wants to say that the character I have played was straight and I am gay, so I'm a great actor. And that it takes it away of like, oh no, Sulu was gay all along. That means I'm not as good an actor as I want to think I am. Does it make sense?
It's a little bit far stretched, but I can see where you're coming from.
A little bit, and I guess the argument that I go back to and that you have used, and which is the correct argument, I guess, is an altered timeline. I mean, in this timeline, Scotty doesn't look like James Stewart. Scotty looks like Simon Pegg. This timeline, Sulu's gay. I don't think it changes the essence of who the character is. And Simon Pegg's argument for why they didn't introduce a new character to be gay makes perfect sense. They don't want the character to be defined by their sexual orientation. And if you have a character who's already established and people already know or love, and you add this aspect onto him or her, then it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm fine with Sulu being gay. Yeah,
and the
totally.
thing is, like, I usually hate it when, honestly, I do hate it when they have a character that was never gay and they just turned him into someone who is gay for the sake of being PC. But I like Simon Pegg's reasoning towards it, which is, because the original Sulu, the actor, was gay, and this is my
tip of
homage
the hat,
to him. Yeah, like, I think that's a beautiful message, and I don't know why he's so upset about it, but I think he's just being protective of his character, and he's doing that. But it was someone else's vision, but I feel like it's a very selfish
Yeah, definitely.
reason instead of
And
whatever he's trying to say.
like, I'm not a scholar in Star Trek lore, but Sulu's personal relationships have never been front and center. We have seen him, we have seen his daughter in Star Trek Generations, and the origin of that is explained in the novel. Like, apparently he had a one night stand with this like Amazonian warrior alien woman, but it's a novel, and the canonicity of that can be debated. And I think that of all, like, if you suddenly made Kirk gay, then I guess there's more of a reason for people to have a problem with that, because Kirk has been established as being a ladies' man, and he's that's a big point of the original series. But Sulu's relationships have never really come into the fore, and I feel that of all the characters they could have picked, if they wanted to make one gay to increase the diversity, but not just for the sake of it, to play around with the idea of an alternate universe, Sulu makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. All right. So, speaking of you were talking about the Tomb Raider being your
Yeah, my guilty
pleasure.
pleasure. Yes, the first Tomb Raider film.
I hope this isn't a guilty pleasure. It's actually good. The reboot with Alicia Vikander. It's set
Alicia
for March
Vikander?
2018.
Yeah, I think it's like
Oh,
Alicia
it's called
Vikander.
Vikander. Vikander, sorry.
Vikander.
I told you I'm terrible with names.
No, that's okay.
March 2018. That's a pretty good date.
Nice, yeah. I feel like the threshold for summer blockbusters has moved earlier and earlier and earlier, because we've got Winter Soldier in April, and then creeping up we had Batman v Superman this year, and then we had Deadpool in February, so it's kind of like creeping up.
Yeah, I feel like February is I think people are starting, not people, movie studios are starting to put their decent, like their lower or mid budget films in February that are pretty good, because that's when they can get some of that money, because there's not a lot of competition there. So March is also a really good time for a movie like Tomb Raider, which I hope is good.
Yeah, I just watched like a playthrough of Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is the sequel to the reboot game. And maybe it's because I'm just watching a compilation of the cutscenes on YouTube, but I honestly didn't like it. I thought the story was very underwhelming. I thought that the reveal of the villain was very underwhelming. And the whole plot, which has Lara being hunted by the secret society and there's an ancient prophecy and all of that, it didn't feel like it had the magic of the original Tomb Raider games. And the first reboot, like, this is actually the second reboot. The first reboot was Tomb Raider Legend in '06, and that's still my favorite game, because Lara, there is an emotional storyline, but at the same time, Lara's a badass. Nothing phases her. She cracks wise. She's confident, and this Lara is a lot more human, and she's a lot more vulnerable, and she yells in pain a lot. But it's a little bit like when you take away James Bond being James Bond, and you have to show us the process of how he got to James Bond. There's a point to that, and it can be done well, but I'm not the hugest fan of doing that with Lara Croft. I like Lara Croft just being a badass from the get-go. Yeah.
I don't play the Tomb Raider games.
That's
I play the
right.
Uncharted games, which is like the male version of Lara Croft.
Yeah.
So
which goes back to Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Oh man, have you heard of rap battles? I want a rap battle between Lara Croft and Nathan Drake.
That is a wonderful idea. If I'm not wrong, there is a superhero showdown of Lara Croft and Nathan Drake.
Okay.
Yeah, the people
I
who
will look that up later.
They did, like, what was it? Deadpool and Domino versus Joker and Harley, and then they did Darth Maul versus Spider-Man. Or like,
who won?
I don't remember, honestly, and I think, like, I get it mixed up because they always make alternate endings where the other guy won. Darth Vader versus Batman is probably my favorite, because the production values in that are superb. These guys take it really seriously, yeah. So go look up Nathan Drake versus Lara Croft.
Okay, I will do that. Okay, so let's talk about movies coming out next week. We are definitely going to review Ghostbusters Reboot, because I am so curious about this film. Plus, I like the director, as I said 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Captain Fantastic. I don't know why I put that in, but it looks like it had a pretty decent score on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you know what that's about?
I think a lot of it is like a bit of an indie favorite. I'm not sure whether or not it's strictly based on a true story, but it's a quirky, like, drama comedy type film, and the idea is that it's revolving around this father who is trying to raise his children away from the civilized world and isolates them in a forest and raises them his own way, like cut off from the rest of society. So there's some sort of emergency or some sort of family crisis that plunges them back into the real world, and they have to cope with that. And yeah, the lead actor is Viggo Mortensen. So, and
It has Catherine Hahn. I love her.
Catherine Hahn's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
She
I
was
love her. Okay.
she was recently in this movie that I really liked called The Family Fang. Like not a lot of people liked it, but I thought it was quite fun.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
And I'll check it out.
directed by and starring Jason Bateman, and they play like Jason Bateman and Nicole Kidman. They play the children of these performance artists, and then when their parents disappear, they don't know whether or not it's a real crisis or whether their parents are making up in the name of art.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's a quirky.
I'm reading the synopsis now. It sounds really cool. Okay, and then the next one is The Purge Election Year, which I won't watch because you didn't recommend it.
No, not great. Yeah, we talked about it last week. It's but if you like the second one, you probably will not mind at least the third one.
Okay. Yep, so I'm looking forward to next week. You get to watch it about 2-3 days earlier than me.
Yeah,
I'm watching it on Saturday.
I invited you, but you couldn't make it, so
yeah. Well, actually, I think I can now.
Oops.
Because it's Wednesday at 7 p.m., but I think it'll be such a huge rush.
No, yeah, and I've already found one person, but it was not easy to find that one person. Let me say.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoy yourself, Jedd.
Thank you.
Please tell me whether it's good before I do watch it, because
you'll get to read
I
my
wanna.
review.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I wanna prepare. I don't want to be disappointed by this film, because I'm rooting so hard for this film. Yep. So hopefully it's good. So see you guys next week. Hopefully I get this up on time this time. Okay, so see you guys next week. Bye.
All right, bye. Thanks, Gerry. Bye, everyone.